Hello, it's me again. I just thought I'd pop in and see how you're doing. The flag, for the first time in 2 weeks, the wind is coming from the west and it's 10 degrees out there. Early morning, but it's 10 degrees. The downside, there's always a downside, I just bashed my keyboard then, is raining. But that doesn't matter, we haven't had rain for a couple of weeks, so that's good. That'll fill up the water butt and the bird bath and water the plants and bits and pieces like that. So yes, 10 degrees, which is what, double that and add 30, it's kind of 50, isn't it? About 50 Fahrenheit, I think. The barometer is 10 millibars and 80% humidity, so things are looking up at long last. Talking of popping in to see you, I do like that, just to pop in to see how you're doing. In the old days, in the 50s and 60s, come to think of it, neighbours, friends, relations, they used to pop in to see each other at the weekend, especially on a Sunday, because most people worked 6 days a week. So on Sunday, people would just ring on the door. Hello, it's me. How you doing? They hadn't said they were coming. They hadn't phoned and said, all right, if we pop in. People used to just turn up out of the blue, which was okay most of the time, but sometimes it was quite inconvenient. You've got your day planned. It's sort of 10 o'clock Sunday morning. You're going to get some jobs done in the garden, one or two things to do in the house. Doorbell, oh, it's Auntie Joan and Uncle Fred and their kids. And they've come to say hello. And the trouble is, we'll stay for lunch. Lunchtime comes around and, well, yes, okay, we'll stay for lunch. And then the afternoon drags on. Well, we could stay for tea while we're here. Why not? We haven't seen you for a while. And the whole day is gone. I remember an auntie. This is, what was I? I'd left home. I was visiting my parents on a Sunday. I must have been 20s. And this auntie turned up with her husband, auntie and uncle. Lovely to see you, blah, 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 all this stuff going on, all the pleasantries. And after they'd been there about half an hour, I was about to leave, they said, we thought we'd come and stay with you for a while. And my mum's face, I never forget, it was shock, horror. You're staying, right, yeah, I see, yes. And this aunt and uncle were all jolly and say, well, yes, we might as well. We've driven all the way down here. We could perhaps spend the week with you. Of course, my dad, he walked out of the room. I think he pretended he had to go to the bathroom or something. And they're both, my mum, they're in shock. Oh, no, what do we do? What could you do in a situation like, you can't say, well, no, sorry, you're not staying here. So what I did, I chipped in and I said, this was Sunday. I chipped in and said, well, you're away Tuesday onwards, aren't you, Mum? And she looked at me a bit confused and she said, oh, yes, of course we are. We're away from Tuesday for a week. All these lies. I started it. My mum told me off after. She said, you shouldn't lie like that. I said, well, I got you out of trouble. They just stayed the Sunday night and went back Monday. But they'd come down for the week. And that used to happen then. People would turn up and expect to have dinner. Oh, are you making dinner? Well, that'd be nice. It doesn't. Does that happen now? I don't think that happens now. I mean, we have people turn up, of course, unexpected. If they're passing, they'll come in and say hello. But that's family mainly, and it's lovely to see them. And they don't stay for hours, Just going to have a sip of my coffee. Hang on a minute. Popped in to see my grandparents. That they only lived about 5 miles away. Early one evening, what was it, 6 o'clock in the evening? He opened the door, my grandfather. We are on the phone, And I thought, well, that's a nice welcome. He'd always said, if ever you're passing, come in, have a cup of tea, come and see us. That's why I did. I popped in. I was on my own. Oh, we are on the phone, So I just said, fair enough, if you're busy. And I walked off. He would say, oh, no, it's okay. I said, no, don't worry if you're busy. And I just got into my car and drove off. I didn't like him much anyway, so that was the result. Now, Connie, hello, Connie. She says, tell everyone that emails aren't for conversations. I know what you mean, Connie. She says that someone will email her, blah, 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 ask a question or two, which she answers. They then reply to her email, blah, blah, blah. She then has to go back to their email. And she says you end up having a conversation via email. She says, I hate it. I know what you mean, Connie. I hate that. You answer an email, then they reply. So you reply to that, then they reply to your reply, and it goes on and on. I've never actually thought of it as annoying. Well, I suppose I have, really. But she says, yes, you're quite right. Emails are not for conversations. I suppose text messages, though, and WhatsApp. What is it? What's that Snapchat thing? Not Snapchat. I don't know what it's called. Snapchat, not chap. I don't know what that is. I've never tried that one. But people do text each other, don't they? So they do have a conversation on the keyboard or the little phone pad with their thumbs. I can't do that. I've tried. I can't do that. But I know what you mean, though. My father used to do that. He'd email me something, a question, and I'd answer. Then he'd come back to my answer, so I'd have to go back to him. And this went on and on. He really was over the top with it. We'd have a dozen or more going back and forth, back and forth. In the end, I'd phone him. And I'd say, I can't do this. You know, can we just talk on the phone? I can't keep doing these emails. And dear, happy days. I've called this episode Roadworks. That's a title really just to remind me. The roadworks around here, a friend of mine said it's a conspiracy to keep us off the roads. And I've never believed really in conspiracy theories, but he could be right, because every which way you turn in your car, every road, there's diversions, there's roadworks, road closed, road ahead closed, and all this business. And I'm wondering whether he's right. Are they trying to keep us off the road? If they are, it is working, because people have said to me, we don't bother. We were going to go here. We were going to go there. Not going to bother now because of the roadworks. Did I tell you that Tricia dropped number 3 daughter into town? She was carrying some stuff, so daughter wanted a lift. Going into town was fine. She drove down there, dropped daughter off. Coming back, it took half an hour to get along one road in the town. I don't know what happened. She phoned me. Can you look on Google Maps? What's happening? I said, well, it's all red on the maps there. The traffic is all red, but there's no accident. Or if there is, it's not come up on the map. Half an hour it took her to get out of one road. We never did find out why, but there are roadworks absolutely everywhere. What we do now, before we go anywhere, we go onto Google Maps. Right, that's green that way and a bit of orange. We could go that route. You can't go that way. It's solid red. That's jammed up. And we have to do this every time now, wherever we're going. We went to Amberley Museum yesterday. That was, where are we? It's Thursday today. Yes, yesterday, Wednesday. Lovely day. And funnily enough, no roadworks. I couldn't believe it. We left early because we thought, well, we're going to have roadworks and temporary traffic lights and roads closed. We just sailed through all the way. Of course, we were early. It was very busy. It's half term. So all the children are on their half term holiday. We got there at 10 o'clock when it opens. The car park was almost full. I couldn't believe it. We went into the museum. There's people everywhere, people and children. It's lovely to see. We had our lunch there. We never buy lunch in the restaurant place there, but we did. We didn't take our own sandwiches as we normally do. We thought we'd buy lunch. And it was so busy in there, and the noise. Honestly, I've got sensitive ears, don't we? You do now. If you didn't know, you do now. Most people, when they get old, go deaf. As I get older, my hearing becomes more acute. Is that the word? More sensitive. I can hear a pin drop at 50 miles. And the noise in there, there's people, there's dogs, there's children. I don't mind children. They make a noise, that they cry and scream and stuff like that. Dogs yapping and stuff. One person came in with 2 dogs. Well, they pooch, they called a pooch or something, in this pushchair. Because I saw the pushchair coming along, and I thought it was a baby. And I thought, that's a funny looking baby. Oh, it's twins. No, it's not. It's 2 dogs. It's a bit strange, isn't it? I don't know. Anyway, there we are. We did get lunch eventually. We had to wait a long time. And after that, we've been there 3 hours. I said, right, that's it. Let's go. I do that. Wherever we go. Okay, let's go. And people look at me. Oh, you're going now? Yes, I've had enough. So we cleared off home. It was lovely, though. The weather was good to us. It didn't rain. A little bit of sunshine. Temperature wasn't too bad. And that's the 3rd time we've been to Amberley this year. So we're making up for last year when we only went a couple of times the whole year. Well, probably 3 or 4. Whereas normally we do at least sort of 12, 14, 15 trips. Because it's up the road. We have coffee there. We walk round in the woods. It's lovely. In the telephone place there's loads of telephones and all the exchange equipment, and each telephone's got a number so you can pick it up and dial someone else's number. This phone I was standing by, it rang, so I picked it up and said hello, and it's a young lady on the phone by the sound of it. And she said, "Oh, hello, how are you?" I said, "Yes, I'm fine, how are you?" Yeah, visiting the museum." We started having a conversation. It was quite funny. And she said, "I can see you." And I looked around, there are phones everywhere there. I couldn't see her. So I said, "Well, where are you? I can't see you." She said, "I'm hiding behind something." There was this big thing in the way, this load of shelving with phones on. And she said, "I can see you." And it reminded me of the Bird's Nest. It was not really a club, it was a pub in Brighton. I think I may have told you about this years ago. I probably mentioned it on one of the podcast episodes. Every table had a phone on it. And above every table was a number, perhaps 9872, whatever. And what would happen is we'd see some girls, or I'd see some girls. I used to go with a couple of friends, and there's some girls on table number 8. You think, oh, they look all right. So you'd phone table 8. Now, they didn't know who was phoning. And what we would do is chat them up on the phone. I'd say, "You look nice. I like your hair. I like your dress," and all this stuff. And they'd look round. Of course, you wouldn't look at them. You'd look the other way and pretend you're chatting to someone else. And they never knew who it was. And it was great fun. I used to get to was it a club or a pub? They had a big dance floor there, a disco thing and everything. But this seated area with the phones, I always headed for there, made sure I could get a table. And I'd sit there. Sometimes the phone would ring and I'd answer it. And some girl would say, "I can see you. I like the look of you." And looking around, "Oh, where is she? I can't see which one it is." Because there were tables everywhere with these phones. Anyway, this girl and I were having a chat at Amberley Museum on the phone. In the end, I saw her. She peeped round the side of this shelving. She's grinning and waving at me. "Hello." So that was good fun. Just going back to roadworks for a minute, this friend of mine reckons it's a conspiracy because a lot of the roadworks, a lot of where you've got one side of the road closed, so you've got temporary traffic lights, you know, your turn to go, you've got to go on the wrong side of the road, then it's their turn to go. Very, very often, the road is all cordoned off and there's nothing going on. There's no holes being dug. There's no men there working. It's just cordoned off with a load of cones. Now, why is that? Nothing's happening. A few days later, you might go the same route. It's just the same. Nothing has happened. Why have they shut off half the road? Is it to calm the traffic? Is it to annoy people? Which it does. If that's what it's for, then they certainly are achieving their goal. It's annoying people. Because the road's just closed. Nothing happens. In fact, I've heard on the news in a couple of areas where people have moved the cones and the signs. They put the traffic lights on the grass bank, get rid of those, or on the pavement somewhere, chuck all the cones on the pavement and open up the road. And of course the council go mad, everyone goes mad. No one knows who's done it. And if people did see who was doing it, they wouldn't, what's that expression? Dob them in. Dob them in. Do you know, I first heard that only a couple of years ago. Trish said something about dobbing someone in. And I said, "What do you mean?" She said, "Well, grassing up on them, grassing them up, telling tales on them or whatever." I'd never heard of dob them in. I have now. I expect you have. I'm always last to find these things out. I don't know why. I've led a sheltered life, I suppose. So yes, people have been moving road cones, moving temporary traffic lights out of the way and opening up the road. And you can't blame them. There was one country lane, I forget where it was, somewhere in Britain, and that was on the news. Someone had moved the temporary traffic lights and the road cones because it had been there for over a week and no roadworks carried out at all. Just block half the lane for no reason or no apparent reason. And this chap moved them. I think they found out who he was and he got told off or something. I can't remember the news story, but it does make you wonder, doesn't it? Well, it makes me wonder. Just going back to the museum again, the volunteers, I'm a magnet, aren't I, for volunteers. They see me. "Oh, look, I must look like a nerd. Oh, look, there's someone, I'll go and annoy him." I like the volunteers, bless them, they're doing a good job. They're not getting paid. They're helping people. But wherever I go, any museum in the country, train museum, bus museum, anything, volunteers they seek me out. "Oh, look, a nerd. I must look like a right nerd." Anyway, this chap at the museum, I'm sure I've seen him before. I reckon that he recognised me because I saw him walking towards me and I slipped round the side of this big, huge switch panel with fuses and all knife switches on it and meters. I slipped round there and I was waiting there, hiding, looking to make sure he didn't come round. and he appeared behind me. "Oh, hello there," he said. I jumped and looked round. "Oh, hello." I reckon he knew me of old. He'd tried to catch me in the past. He knew that I went and hid in various places, and he's behind me. So I said, "Oh, hello there. Nice day," and all this, whatever I said. Some inane drivel I was talking, as I usually do. "Now, I'll tell you all about this switchboard," he said. I said, "Oh, no, it's fine." I said, "My brother-in-law worked for the electricity company. I know all about everything, and he's told me everything." And I wandered off. And he followed me. "Ah, yes, but have you seen, we've got a new edition. Look, here, look." Luckily, I saw Trish. She saw what was happening, and she grabbed her mobile phone out of her pocket. He didn't see that. She said, "Oh, so-and-so's on the phone," and handed me her phone. Honestly, it was, so I'm on the phone. "Oh, hello. Oh, yeah, nice to hear from you. Yeah, I'm at the museum now." Yeah, blah, blah, blah. And this chap, I don't know whether he knew it was a ploy or what, but I'll have to look out for him in the future. But that was so funny, the way he just, I went round one side of this switch thing to hide. He went round the other side and appeared behind me. "Hello." "Oh, damn." I'm glad I've got a little bit of time to talk to you. I don't know how long. What's the recording now? Just over a quarter of an hour. I don't think I'll do an hour. We've got so much going on. Luckily, we had, as I say, yesterday, I actually had a free day to go to Amberley. The day before, Tuesday, nightmare. Phone call, what was it, 7:30 in the morning, some problem with a family member. Another phone call about 9. We just had stuff all day going on. Disaster, phone call. "Oh, disaster, what's happened now?" "Oh, no, okay, we'll be there in a minute." Or, "Okay, you want to come round? Yeah, come round here, we'll sort that out for you." Tuesday was mad. That's one reason we went Wednesday. We thought, let's just get out of here. And my mobile phone doesn't work at the museum. There's no signal there. Trisha's does, but mine doesn't. It's just rather nice to be away, hiding behind the big electrical switchboard. No, not hiding in the museum, but just getting away from things for a while. I'm hoping things will calm down soon, because the whole of this year has just been a nightmare, really. All the family stuff going on. Anyway, enough of that. What else can I bore you with? Let me have a little think. Oh, I know. I was talking to a friend of mine this morning on the radio. I've known him since I was, 15. I didn't realise he had been to the same school that I had been to. I left school at 14 because, I ruptured my liver. I've told you all that. I went to hospital and stuff. So I left at 14, and I met him when I went to work when I was 15 in the radio and TV workshop. I just said something to him this morning about the school I went to, and he said, "Oh, I went there." He would have been there at the same time as me. He's a couple of years older than me, so he wouldn't have been in my class. I didn't know that, so we did a bit of reminiscing. We chatted away for ages, and he said, "I hope no one's listening," because people do listen. Amateur radio, ham radio, anyone can listen. And he said, "We better stop all this reminiscing." He said, "We'll have people listening to us thinking we're old boys." We are old boys. So I was moaning about sports day and not sports day, sports every Friday afternoon, and how I used to bunk off school after history lesson at 2:00. We then had to go and play football or cricket and stuff till 4:00. So what I would do at 2:00 after history, I'd grab my bag, go and get my bike out of the bike sheds, walk down the drive and go over the park. I'd have a cigarette with a mate of mine who did the same. One afternoon I got halfway down the driveway to get out of school, and I heard this voice, "You boy!" Oh my goodness, what's that? I looked round, Deputy Head, leaning out of his office window. "What are you doing? Come here." That was it, I got the cane. So this friend of mine and myself this morning, we're chatting about this for ages. What about the old days, the teachers there? It's good, it's nice. I do like reminiscing. I don't like looking forward to the future. Well, firstly, we don't know what's going to happen in the future anyway, do we? But it is nice looking back at the past and thinking, "Oh, I remember that. Do you remember the long hot summers we used to have?" I do hope we have a long hot summer this year. I've got so much. I made a list. Hang on, where's my list? Let me read you my list. I've been threatening to do this. Creosote the fences, shed roof, trim the cherry tree. Patio slabs want doing, flashing, that's to seal around the patio roof, paint the bedroom ceiling, seal the shower cubicle, that's leaking, tidy my stuff in the shed, which I've been threatening to do for years, saw up some wood. We have a load of wood for the winter that needs sawing up, ready for the winter. Sort the water butt out, that's leaning over. Utility, what's this? Oh, get all the moss off the utility room roof. Weed killer the alleyway. It goes on, I won't read it all. Honestly, it goes on and on. Every time Trish comes in here, she adds something to it. I said, what are you doing? I've just thought of something else. I'm putting it on the list. So I shall keep you posted as to the progress of my list. I'm not doing anything out there. Well, none of this sort of work anyway, until the weather's warmer. Now I have a surprise for you. Gary is waking up. He's coming out of hibernation. He's been in here now for half an hour. I think, yeah, about half an hour. And he's moving. He's next to me on the table here in his kind of straw and substrate stuff. And he's actually beginning to move. So at long last, after 3 months, he's waking up. I must admit, I was a bit worried at times during the winter. I didn't want to disturb him, but I kept thinking, is he alive? Because they do sometimes just pass away during hibernation. No one's fault, it just happens. So he is now alive and well. I'll be back in a minute because we're going to spend a bit of time organising him. We've got to get some food. We've got to give him a bath when he warms up a little bit. I'll be back in a minute to tell you more. I don't know about back in a minute. It's now Saturday morning and it's raining. Gary slept well. He's eaten. He's had a bath. He's now under his heat lamp. We haven't opened his hatch up yet to the garden. We'll wait till the weather's a bit better for that. He doesn't want to go outside, although it's about 12 degrees out there at the moment, which isn't too bad at all. There's a photo of Gary just about waking up in his tub, which is full of substrate and hay. Just go to rants.info and the photos page and you'll see him just looking out there. That's when he was on my desk here next to the keyboard watching me typing. So he survived the winter. That really is good news. Do you know, it's amazing, well perhaps it's not amazing, the amount of people that have said to me, I wish I could hibernate for the winter. Just about everyone you meet, I tell them about Gary. Oh, Gary's woken up. He slept throughout the winter. Oh, I wish I could do that. I don't think that would be a good idea, would it? What would happen if we all hibernated for 3 months during the winter? Everything would shut down. Would we run the power stations? Could we? No, we couldn't go without electricity, could we? We'd need food in the freezer and I don't know. Daft question really, isn't it? What would happen? We're not going to hibernate, are we? But it's interesting. It would be strange. Just had a weather warning, 70-mile-an-hour winds and rain to batter Britain. I don't know, it's another one of these daft... Well, Amy, if you're listening in Seattle, you'll be pleased to hear, well, you might laugh to hear, the flag is wet and wrapped round the pole. So I don't know what's happening. It's sort of flapping a little bit, but this is the trouble with flags. If they get wet, they just hang down, or even if it's windy, they'll just wrap round the pole and stick till they dry out again. There's probably some method of stopping that from happening, but not to worry. Anyway, there you go, Amy. It's wet and wrapped round the pole. As I said, it's now Saturday. I've run out of time just about. Mother-in-law's coming round. We've got to go and see my mum in the nursing home in a minute. She's all right. Bit fed up with it all, but she's sort of hanging on in there. We've got, what else have we got? Trisha's sister's coming round and her husband. We've got to pop out and do a few. It's just busy. Every day is just busy. It's mostly family stuff, as I've said. This is, of course, why I'm not doing the regular podcast anymore. It's difficult to fit everything in. I remember my son, hello son, in North Carolina and family, how you doing? I remember he said years ago, it's a shame we have to sleep. Rather like hibernation. No, it's not. Shame we have to go to sleep. He said, what a waste of time. 8 hours every day is wasted just by sleeping in bed. That was, when did he say that to me? Decades ago. Well, not too many decades ago, otherwise he'd be really old, which would make me ever so old. But it's a good point, isn't it? I know we need sleep, but it is a huge chunk of the day, which is just not wasted, that's the wrong word, but taken up with doing nothing, I suppose. Well, it's recharging batteries and whatever. Do you have dreams? I have dreams. Nightmares a lot of the time. Dreadful. Won't go into that. This episode, I've just noticed, it says here roadworks. I haven't really mentioned roadworks a great deal, have I? I've been talking about Gary the Tortoise. I forget what I have been talking about. This is the beauty of these podcast episodes. I don't know what I'm talking about. You don't know what I'm talking about. But it's all great fun. It's all good, clean fun, as they used to say back in the 60s. Some of the sayings back then, it's good, clean fun. Remember a friend of mine, Derek, he was a funny chap. You'd ask him, say, he'd buy a new car, for example, and you'd say, oh, that's nice, Derek, what did that cost you? Well, who wants to know? Oh, OK, just wondered. Well, wind your neck in. That was one of his favourites, wind your neck in. You imagine a swan, a big swan neck sticking out and you have to sort of wind it in. I don't know. He was very secretive. I know one or two other people like that. They'll sell something and you say, oh, that's good. I'm glad you sold that. What did you get for it in the end? Enough? Oh, OK. I don't know. It's strange, isn't it, how some people are very secretive. There was one chap, I don't know him now. I've lost touch. He moved house. I knew where he lived, not far from where I am. And he said, I'm moving house. We've sold up. We're moving. I said, oh, great. Let me have your address. Oh, no, I can't do that. No, I can't do that at the moment. Oh, OK. Fair enough. I had his email address. I emailed him a few times. Hi, where are you? What's your address? And he wouldn't tell me. So we lost touch. In the end, I thought, well, I can't be bothered to email him if he won't tell me where he lives. Very odd, isn't it? Very odd. I mean, if he was a criminal on the run, a fugitive, which he wasn't or isn't, then fair enough. But how strange to move house and not tell your friends. Oh, well, whatever. Oh, I've said whatever again. Do you remember I talked about that the other day? Whatever. Talking of not having a great deal of time, we've got to give Gary a bath. He has to have a warm bath at least once, if not twice a day, just to get everything moving again. Because if you think about it, if you spent 3 months in bed not moving, your muscles would waste away, wouldn't they? So we've got to do some, not intensive care, I was about to say intensive care. I mean, in the wild, they just dig down, don't they, in the winter, underground somewhere, sit there for 3 months and then come out, mooch around, have something to eat. They don't have baths. They don't have heat lamps, UV lamps and all this stuff. They just do their own thing. I suppose a lot of them don't survive, though. So we do our best for him. He's quite happy. He's enjoying it all, having something to eat. Anyway, let's move on from Gary. I said that before, didn't I? Then went back to Gary. What about these roadworks? Is it a conspiracy? Do you think they're trying to keep us off the road, keep cars off the road? What do you think? I'll tell you what. I remember this house decades ago, and the road, mainly the road, you could park anywhere. There were only half a dozen cars in the road at the most. Now, especially evenings, early mornings, weekends, when people aren't at work, it's a car park. I look out of the window here at the flag still round the pole, and it's just full of cars. It's a car park. It's incredible. Something is going to have to be done eventually. I don't know what. Any ideas? What do you think they could do? Raise rants at protonmail.com. Unless you have some sort of laws forced upon you, 1 car per household, that would be difficult, wouldn't it? That would be orcs, as my granddaughter says. That would be orcs. 1 car per household. We've only got 1, but a lot of people, they've got 2, 3 even. In fact, I know a friend of mine who had 4 cars. In his drive for many years. There was him, his wife and his 2 kids, 4 cars. And they did, you might say, well, they don't need 4 cars. Well, they did. They all went to work, totally different areas, and they had to drive to work and back. There were no trains or bus stops nearby. This is another thing. Oh, yes, something else to moan about. The train fare, I won't go into this, but a friend of ours has got a job over in Littlehampton. The train fare, £14.50 a day. Right, well, that takes up a huge chunk of his wages. He's got this new job 5 days a week in Littlehampton. You can get a weekly thing, but I forget what was wrong with that. It doesn't really save you anything. And of course, this is early. After 9 o'clock, it's a lot cheaper. It's about £6. But before 9, when everyone's going to work, it's £14.50 return. It's only up the road. Well, it's up the road. How far is it? Not 10 miles, is it? I don't know, no, not even 10 miles, 8 miles at the most. They say to people, oh, we want you to use public transport. You don't clog up the roads with your cars, use public transport. Well, you can't. It costs a fortune. £14.50 a day, that's £72.50 a week. £72.50 out of his net wages. I just did that mental arithmetic in my head. I didn't use the calculator. Yes, I did. I'm going to have to go. I know it's only half an hour and the old Sunday podcast episodes used to last an hour, but there's so much to do. This will all calm down. I know I keep saying this every time I have a chat with you. I say it's going to calm down. It will, bit later in the year, everything will calm down. But at the moment, it's manic. Manic, there's a word. Right. Thank you for listening. Apologies for the short... Well, it's better than nothing. I was going to say apologies for the short version, but it's that or nothing. Happy days. Thank you so much for listening. I love chatting to you, as you know. Keep well, be good. If you're bad, don't go. You didn't email me. I said the other day, if you're bad, tell me what you've done. No one emailed me. Now, don't tell me you've all been good, because I'm not going to believe that. Come on. Have you been bad? You just don't want to tell me, do you? There we are. Stone the crows. I shall talk to you very soon. Take care. Look after yourselves. Bye-bye for now.